Picture this, it's a perfect run temperature type of morning. You're lacing up your shoes, about to get in a few easy miles or kilometers to the international crowd. But here's a question, how easy is too easy? Are you running at the right intensity, or are you stuck in that no man's land of effort and heart rate called the gray zone that leaves you overtrained and overtired? In this episode, we're diving into the two critical questions every runner has asked themselves. What does easy training really mean? And when does easy cross the line into something counterproductive or worse, ineffective? But before we answer those questions, I'll be joined by good run friend, pro certified running coach, and exercise scientist with almost 500,000 followers on Instagram, Mike Trees, aka Run.Energy, to help answer all those questions. I am Darren, certified running and nutrition coach, sub 3 hour marathoner, and 10-hour Ironman finisher. Since 1996, yes, 96, I've been helping other self-coach runners, researching and experimenting on how to better myself 1% each day, because this is the 1% better runner. So are your easy runs setting the stage for success or sabotaging your progress? Let's find out. What is your definition of easy training for an average listener?
I'm going to take a vague question and give you an even more vague answer. If it doesn't feel easy, it's not easy. So I tell everyone, go for an easy run. How easy is easy? I said, look, if it's not easy, it's not fun. You know, it's like if you go out and run and you're running around there and it feels easy, it's an easy run. And then I say, look, okay, you might be young, you might not be, experienced. So if you can breathe through your nose, it's pretty much a good idea that it's an aerobic easy run. Some people can breathe through their nose easily. Other people have like a blocked up nose. It's not that easy. But the general thing is, if you can get enough oxygen through your nose without much stress, it's easy. If you can chat, it's easy. If you can do mental arithmetic, it's easy. Now, this sounds simple, but you give someone a tempo run and say, what's 5 plus 5? And I do this all the time. I'm running along, 5 plus 5 is 5 plus 5. Yeah, it's 5 plus 5. Now, 5 plus 5, I can't come up with the answer. On an easy run, you go, yeah, 5 plus 5, it's 10. That's simple, mate. So when you start pushing it, your body shuts down a little bit. The brain doesn't work as well. Mental arithmetic becomes tougher. So that's another little rule. But yeah, I've got to go back to the first answer. If it doesn't feel easy, it's not easy.
That's good. That's really good. I've got this silly breathing. It's not silly. I actually based it off of, you probably know him, Matt Fitzgerald. He's the...
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah. Well, I don't know him personally, but I like his stuff a lot. I read all his books. He's very good. Yeah,
very good. Yeah, and he's the only person that I've seen come up with the breathing test for... if your heart rate monitor is off, or, you're obviously everyone's optical is off. As you go faster, everyone's optical is off. And it was countdown from a number and wherever you land. So I ended up modifying it, and I start at 161, and wherever I land is my heart rate. So I basically take off a zero. So basically, I take a big breath and I go 161, and that same breath, 161, 160, 159. And if I land on 155, then my heart rate's 150. If I land on 54, it's 140. And no bullshit, dead accurate when I look at my heart rate monitor. So it's sometimes slightly lower than my heart rate monitor, but it's always, that's my test. And then I've tested it, me getting up higher, doing faster stuff, obviously really easy. So that's my dead accurate test. But then again, I always know if I can hold my breath for 6 seconds and talk, then it's quite easy versus 2 to 3 seconds. So that's my little thing. So what's too easy? Let's go polarized. What's too easy? And then what would you say is steady? Because I've seen you talk about Z1. Would that be too easy? And then Z2? And you're talking about heart rate zones, correct?
You got to define your terms. I mean, I'm writing on Instagram. I've got a limited number of words I can get out there. And I have to assume that some people are following, more than others. And I can't be defining my terms all the time. So easy, it depends on what you're going out for the run. What is your objective? If you don't have an objective, you can't define what is too easy, what's too hard, because you don't know what you're trying to get to. And that is the problem with most people. They want an answer without letting me know what they're trying to achieve. So it's impossible to give them an answer. So the answer is nothing can be too easy depending on what you're trying to achieve. If your objective is to have the easiest run possible and not walk, then it can't be too easy because that's your goal. So who's to say you're wrong? If your goal is to run 1,500 meters in what's realistic? A young guy, you want to do it in under 5 minutes. So it's a stretch target, but it's realistic. Well, running very slow runs where just above walking all the time is going to be too easy all the time. It might be that you need to do it some of the time. So there's no such thing as too easy a run at times. And there's no such thing as too hard a run at times. It's getting the balance between the easy and the hard. So if you're out for a recovery run, zone 1, and lots of there's so much stuff. You Google it on what zone 1 is. Some people say it's 50 to 60% heart rate. Some other people say, no, that's a little easy. It needs to be 55 to 65%. Again, I've never really thought about this in myself when I go running. And when I talk to my athletes, it's just like, go for an easy run. And they know what an easy run is. It's just a run that you run for a set amount of time that we predetermined, that you enjoy running in that run. And that's it. Is it an easy recovery run? Yeah. So if it's an easy recovery run, you can't go too slow. Is it an aerobic building run, which is what people mistake with Maffetone? That's a different thing again. So what Maff's talking about with his 180 minus age, that's the maximum aerobic zone. It doesn't mean you have to do that all the time. And this is the other problem I get with, is it too hard? People will go out at Maff 180 minus age and they'll try and hold this heart rate. Well, if I was to run at my Maff pace, I'd be dead. If I ran there all the time, that's hard for me. You find actually that I would probably do my 5K pretty much close to my Maff maximum heart rate, because I can hold I've got a really big aerobic engine, but I become so aerobically fit that I can actually push myself quite hard. So if I'm running at my Maff heart rate, it's actually too hard for me to go for an easy run. And this is what a lot of people don't quite understand. They have a little bit of knowledge, which is dangerous, but not enough knowledge to take it somewhere. And so, always coming back to where you started from, there's no such thing as an easy run, but you can go too hard on an easy run quite easily.
Future Darren here, and I won't do that thing. You know the thing where people go, hey, you should subscribe, rate, share, give a thumbs up, rah, rah, rah. Now, while I'd love for you to do that anyways, please go ahead and do it. The next steps will be for you to transform your running life with our free 1% Better Runner 30-day base training habits plan and newsletter. Unlike other running plans and newsletters, we do not do motivational quick fixes and hacks. Instead, we focus on long-term success that lasts from 30 days to 30 years and more. It's not just a training plan, but a mental shift. Think of it as your personal running therapist. Sign up for free at either dlatecreates.com/news, web search 1% Better Runner newsletter, or get the link in the show notes or video description below. All value, no fluff, cancel anytime. Let's get back into it. You said something really interesting about Maffetone, and the thing with amateurs is the gap between their easy run and their race pace is so, depending on the race, obviously, it's such a big, someone's easy run their 5K, it could be anywhere from a minute and a half to 3 minutes per K difference. I'm talking about per K, not miles. Sorry, Americans. But with Kipchoge, who's running a 1:59 marathon, his easy run, quote unquote, or steady is like 15, 20 seconds slower than his actual marathon pace, which blows, a newbie runner's mind. They're like, how is that? And it's like you were saying, he's so aerobically fit. He runs 230, 250 Ks a week, building that. Like, it actually is so hard on his body. And Maffetone actually talks about that briefly. But he says, I think it was Mark Allen, and all the guys he trained, Mike Pick, he goes, their aerobic engine is so fast that they actually can't run in Maffetone that much. Whereas a newbie can actually run in Maffetone a bit more. They probably shouldn't do it all the time, but depending on what your objective is. So totally get that. I'm not one of those people that, where my Maffetone is so damn fast. Like, my aerobic engine has built up over the past, say 5 years, 6 years running wise. But I definitely come from a speed background, 100, 200, 400. I jumped into 800 very late. And I think I'm anaerobically blessed. As I get deeper into this aerobic game, I'm like, I just don't think I have the endurance speed of you or Kipchoge or, Mark Allen. But who knows? I'm 39 and I still feel like I have, few more years before I can see my peak. But, according to you, I could probably see my peak at 55. So.
I would probably run the first half of a marathon at my Maff pace. So most people, would just consider that an aerobic run. But that's how big my engine is. I have probably one of the lowest heart rates ever recorded. It was 27 when I was at my peak. It's now 30.
Resting, right? Resting heart rate?
Resting heart rate.
Oh, wow.
Another little rabbit hole to go down is when people talk of heart rates, I find it quite fascinating because if you think of heart rate and you think of stroke volume, how much blood the heart puts out. So say you've got a guy, and we're looking at all the models that people do. So guy number one or girl number one has a resting heart rate of 60. And they want to double their heart rate. So they run at 120. And according to the theories, that's, they're 20 years old, 120, and it's an easy aerobic run, 120. Then they double their heart rate again. So all they're doing is, from the heart's point of view, it just knows how hard it's working per minute, per hour, how much blood it's pumping. So they go 60, they double it once, 120. They double it again, it's 240. They can't do that. So they can't double their resting heart rate twice because it's going to take them way off the scale. Now, now we'll say at my age now, it's gone up, it's easier for maths as well. My heart rate is 30 when I wake up in the morning. So when I start running, my heart rate is usually around about 50, 55. So I'll run the first kilometre and my heart rate is somewhere between 55 and 70. And so if it doubles, if my resting heart rate doubles, I'm up to 60. If I double it again, it's up to 120. So you can already see how there's something with the models that doesn't quite stack up in terms of just using heart rate in each person. It's that heart rate reserve. It's like the difference between my resting heart rate and my maximum heart rate is the important thing. Because I can actually be training at 90, rates per minute. And that's, 3 times my resting heart rate. Someone with 60 training at 3 times their resting heart rate is 180. They're actually in the red zone. They're actually killing it. They're really hurting. So heart rates are individual, and that's what we need to get back to all the time. And when I'm talking with people, I keep saying, these are just models to get them started. It's super important to understand heart rates, but how it pertains to you and works for you. And I've realized that it's so difficult to compare them and to come up with different models for heart rates, particularly when I realize, I don't conform to any of the models really, with my base heart rate being so low.
Yeah, wow, that very interesting points there. I think I'm on the other end where my resting is probably a bit higher than where, someone as fit as I am, but I also have a really high max heart rate. Like I can max it like 193. So whereas I should technically, according to the age, 220 minus my age, my max should be 180, which is BS, as you know. It's a starting point. So I think, rather than it being like this, where this is the lowest and this is the highest, I think I've just shifted mine up. So the Maffetone heart rate actually doesn't apply to me, and I'm a tiny bit higher than where Maffetone would say I am. So
that's why I like the IMAX. Sorry to interrupt. The IMAX would work perfectly for you. Your max, your max heart rate minus 40. In a sense, that just takes into account it's Maffetone principles, but based on the fact of knowing your maximum heart rate. That might work a little bit better. Do that maths and see how it fits for you.
That's actually it. Yeah, because I know 150 is about the top, 150, and I've been there for 10 years. And according to Maffetone, I should have gone down to 140. So, that's absolutely correct. Time. I'm obsessed with it as it's the one thing we can't make more of. But ironically, we as humans, we made the whole concept of time. Thanks for giving us your time by listening, watching, or reading this. We love helping runners get 1% better each day, one step at a time, and can only reach more runners by people like you sharing us out to runners like you. As I might have mentioned earlier in the episode, if you haven't already, you can get a free step-by-step 30-day base training and habits guide to getting 1% better in running and life each day by signing up for our email newsletter. Unlike other running videos and podcasts, we are not about the quick hack and fluffy motivational quotes. Instead, the 1% Better Runner focuses on how small daily habits ripple into broader life success, helping runners perform better on and off the road or the trail or the track, wherever you want to be doing your workouts, all in 5 minutes per week. This episode and all this content is produced in Sydney, Australia, and I'd like to acknowledge the Gadigal of the Eora Nation, who are the traditional indigenous custodians of this land. Much respects. If you want to contact us about anything, email talk@dlakecreates.com. We're also on the socials, mainly Instagram and Strava right now. Just search One Better Run or D-Lake Runs. Small steps now, lifelong impact later. Peace.